Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Delighted to have your company this Friday night on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. The main talking points this evening: Ronny Deila backtracks on his suggestion that his Celtic players were scared in that defeat to Malmo. We'll look at Celtic's Europa League draw and assess their opponents. We're back on the domestic trail this weekend, looking at all the divisions in Scotland. We'll hear from Hearts player Jordan McGee and Rangers legend John Brown. So that's what we've got to look forward to, and we'll also discuss some of the main headlines emerging today. All in the company of Joe Miller, and of course the canary to the right is Alan Rough, wearing a bright, sunny, optimistic yellow shirt. Ruffy.
Yeah, but I just seriously need to get a new wardrobe. Because this was the first shirt I had on the way out the door, so as you know, when you're in a hurry you just grab it.
Well, absolutely, and I think that comes into that category, anything. We've got lots of football to talk about, and of course we mentioned at the top of the programme for these guys to digest. Ronny Deila, he was talking about that statement he made about his players being scared against Malmo.
The word scared is maybe not the right word. I think we went out and protected something, and instead of attacking something. So it's like we had something to lose instead of have something to win.
Joe, what do you make of that line?
Well, it's either he's got his tactics wrong or he's not. You've got to know, particularly in a European tie, what your players are going to do. Make sure the message is translated properly, and I don't think, with that statement there, it sounds as if there's been a bit of confusion how they approach the game. But they had ample opportunity to tie the game up at Celtic Park. They were in front 10 minutes, 2 goals up, and then they had opportunities to go into half time, maybe about 3 or 4. But they allowed Malmo to get back into the tie. But over there, I think it was night and day. They did try to protect the lead that they had, but he's trying to say there that he should have approached it differently. I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, if anything, Ruffy, he's learning the harsh lessons of every time he opens his mouth, people will store some of his comments. I mean, he said a year ago, judge me, in a year. Okay, he's been judged, and now they're judging him on what he said post-match from the defeat in Malmo. So he has to take positive action and obviously now put all that behind him and learn again. It's a real learning curve for him.
Yeah, I actually think that he did mean what he said. I think he did in the heat of the moment. He saw players out on the park who were scared to make the passes that he knows they can do, and a lot of them froze on the night, particularly when the goal went in, and they a lot of them had no European experience whatsoever. So they did play a wee bit scared football, if you want to call it that. So I think he's just backtracking now because of the reaction of the players who were immediately asked, what do you think of your manager saying you were scared, like Craig Gordon and Chris Commons, and I'm sure there'll be other players as well, were particularly annoyed by the word. So yeah, he's backtracking to keep the team on board, but you're right, he is now going to be judged. He's put himself back in pressure again. I think we all thought he had sort of got out of that stage of everybody judging him for what he's done, but by this failure he's put himself back into everybody doubting again.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot to prove in the Europa League, and of course the immediate thing that everybody was asking Ronny Deila today was what's his reaction to Ajax, Fenerbahce and Molde in the draw.
So at the best we can beat anybody in that group, but our lowest level has also shown that we can lose against everybody, and that's what we have to work on, the performances, so they get up and be more stable, so we get the result again, get through the group and get a run in Europe.
Ronny Deila there talking about the performances need to improve. The other thing that he did say, he thinks he'll be the manager when Celtic are back in the Champions League again.
Yeah, he's got a lot to do, and I think the bottom line is that it's a big disappointment to the majority of Celtic fans, going out the Champions League. That's what they wanted. There was a huge build-up that they were going to qualify. There was a lot of confidence around it. I was actually quite confident they would get a result over in Malmo. After watching them at Celtic Park, I didn't think they were much of a side. But it is a huge disappointment, and now they're talking about the Europa ties now, and you know, they're just trying to lift everybody from, you know, the big disappointment. But it's going to be hard for them no matter who they play now, because there's a doubt in the players' minds of how they've got to perform now.
Yeah. What do you make of the three opponents? Where's the toughest test?
I think obviously Ajax, Fenerbahce away from home is a very hostile place. Obviously Van Persie in there, you know, they tend to have a couple of Brazilian players as well, so I think they'll be very, very hard to beat over there. I think it's a reasonable section for the fans. I think the fans will enjoy. Obviously going over to Amsterdam as well, as we all would. It's a nice place to go to. But I think that'll be a difficult one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at the opponents that they do have, of course, Robin van Persie's at Fenerbahce, and more alarmingly, one of the journalists pointed out, Andy Newport, on Twitter today, when the Celtic fans go to Malta, he had ordered a pint and a vodka and orange there, £27. So make sure you save up before you head to Malta in Norway. Let's look at the Europa League draw in its entirety. As far as the other clubs are concerned, good luck to the Liverpool fans. They're setting out yesterday for Rubin Kazan. That's one heck of a trip. Bordeaux and Sion, and Tottenham, Anderlecht, Monaco and Karabag. Where have we heard that name before? So there's the overall draw for the British clubs. It's not as exciting. I'm not a fan of the thing. I think it needs revamped, Ruffy, but it is what it is, and he's got a job to do.
No, I think I know what you're talking. Joe's already touched on it. It's Champions League. It's not Real Madrid. It's not PSG. There's no doubt about that. But the fans will get behind it. They'll enjoy the trips abroad, and I think he needs a decent run. You know, I'm not judging him or anything like that. But I think this time they want a good run. Cup, you know, so I think the fans might be saying, well, you keep talking us up and telling us how good we are. Let's see how far we can go in this competition. Yeah,
absolutely. OK, one other piece of news. Celtic have made a £500,000 bid for Ryan Christie. The Inverness boss John Hughes said today he wouldn't stand in his way. We wait to see how that develops. Let's look at the Premiership fixtures for this weekend. We're back to the domestic action. Celtic take on St Johnstone. It's Dundee against Inverness Cally Thistle, Hamilton against Hearts, Motherwell Kilmarnock, Partick Thistle against Aberdeen, and Ross County against Dundee United. Looking at those fixtures, I think New Douglas Park could be a tasty game, because Hamilton, I think we'd all started to maybe suggest they'd be in the bottom two. I know I'm guilty of that, against a Hearts side that don't look as if they're going to lose a game, Joe.
Yeah, I said that as well. I thought that, you know, Hamilton would be the side to lose points right away, but, you know, fair credit to them. You deserve everything they're getting at the moment, but they're coming up against a Hearts side that are, you know, playing nice, attractive football and picking up results, so it's going to be a difficult game for them.
Yeah, and of course, yesterday, Hearts now know that they're going to play Kilmarnock in the League Cup. We caught up with Jordan McGee to get his thoughts on an old Jambo facing one of his old clubs.
Yes, it's a positive draw for us, you know, away to Kilmarnock. A lot of friendly faces they've never played against before, and obviously the manager. But it's a game that we'll look to go down, try and get through the next round, as any league could do.
How important is a cup run to Hearts this season?
Yeah, it's very important. You know, I've said to a lot of the other press that have been put out last two seasons, you know, by Celtic. So it's something we need to try and improve on in a cup run. That's the boys want as well.
I think Hearts want to.
They'll have their eyes set on winning one of the cups, there's no doubt about that. I said Europe and winning a cup would be an unbelievable season for Hearts, and the way things are going just now, they're winning the games by the odd goal, you know, they're getting penalties in most of the games, so everything's going well for them.
And O'Neill, Lennon, Burley and possibly Nielsen could join that illustrious group if he achieves a victory tomorrow, Joe. 6 consecutive wins in the top flight in the first 6 games. It would be a rare feat.
It will be, and you know, it's not a difficult place to go and get a result, but you know, they've got to work for any result you get. So, but there's an air of confidence there. and they've just been going about their business quietly and, you know, picking up the points. And you know, there's not a lot been spoken about in the newspapers. All the focus has been on Celtic and their exploits in Europe, but they're going about their business in the right manner, and I'm sure they'll grow with confidence as the weeks go by.
Yep, I think New Douglas Park will have a strong Hearts support out there. We'll look at more of the fixtures in the Premiership. We'll go to the Championship, League 1 and League 2. Ruffy and myself are head-to-head in the match predictor, and we'll also hear from Rangers legend John Brown and look to the Championship games as well. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Alan Ruff is here with me in the studio, and our boot-room guest is Joe Miller as we talk about the weekend fixtures. We'll also maybe touch on the Champions League if we have time to look at that draw. As far as our match predictions are concerned, the head-to-head, Ruffy, I think you are still ahead in the match predictor. Let's have a look at how both of us have fared on this one. I think Celtic for the win. I'm still backing Dundee. They haven't lost in all competitions in the last 11 games against Inverness, Ruffy. That's all I'm telling you. Hearts, I've gone for the win. This looks unbelievably familiar here, Ruffy. I think we've agreed on near enough everything. In fact, we have. There's no difference there whatsoever. I just wonder if you're doing some tactical voting now.
No, that's just the way I saw it. I think some of the scores are different, so 3 points could be up for grabs. But you're right, they're not that far away.
Joe, if there's someone out there who probably looks at those predictions, maybe Ross County, Dundee United. I mean, I think now suddenly every week goes by and everybody's looking at Dundee United and wondering, well, first of all, can you get Billy Mackay over the line? And can you start to turn the results around?
Well, they need to do something. I mean, there's been a lot of players leaving the club over the past couple of years, and there needs to be something for the fans to get behind them and get performances on the park. It's okay, trying to build a team with young players and bringing in loan players or young transfers from other players. They've got to gel pretty quickly. So at the end of the day, it's about points, and Jackie needs to get the points on the board. So I think it's the results that he needs.
Yeah, there's Championship matches. Let's look at the weekend fixtures in the Championship. If you're going to a game, Falkirk Dumbarton tonight, and also Alloa Morton, Hibernian against Wraith Rovers, St Mirren against Livingston, and St Mirren have signed Andy Webster, which I think is a good signing, Ruffy. Queen of the South take on Rangers.
Yep, I think the St Mirren one, they need somebody like that. They need somebody with a bit of experience. They've got the boy Shankland from Aberdeen.
Yes.
We watched him in bits with Aberdeen last year. He looked a good young player for the future, so that'll be two signings that they need. I think the Hibs game for me is the game of that division. I think Wraith Rovers playing particularly well. Obviously, we got John Daly a move up there. They're coming on the show. That's what happens here.
To be honest with you, Ruffy, if I'm going to be brutal about it, I don't think we can get Joe a move.
No.
I think it's gone. It's absolutely gone. The Hibs game could be a tasty affair. I think Hibs, a lot of scrutiny will be on them to see if they can, just get a run of form and keep the pace with Rangers. And of course, Rangers, I think it's the game of the weekend there down at Dumfries. This will be a real marker, I think, for Mark Warburton. He doesn't want to talk today at the press conference. He didn't want to talk about anything that had gone last season. That in his mind, it was gone. He just wants to focus on what this team is all about now.
Yeah, and quite rightly so. I mean, Queen of the South were the team that did particularly well against Rangers, but they've changed as well. They've lost I think they lost 4 players last year, 4 of their best players. So I don't think they'll be as good as what they were last year, but they'll certainly give them a game. I
agree with you. I think it will be a difficult game, but it's one that I think Rangers will get over the line because, as you say, it's a different team going down there. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and I'm sure they'll get a result when they go down.
Yeah, of course. Rangers have a home tie in the League Cup against St Johnstone. There seems to be a fair bit of press covering Rangers in a positive light, which I think is good. We're now talking about Rangers on the field, Ruffy. Suddenly, people are suggesting, well, could they really have a right go in their present state against Celtic if they come up against them? We got the thoughts of John Brown at Hampden yesterday on that.
I think the vast majority. I think they're still maybe a bit early for Celtic, but I think if we manage to get through the next couple of rounds and maybe get a semi-final or a final, then the players have got an extra number of games under their belt. They get to know each other, and I think they could put on a better show against Celtic.
I think Mark Warburton would want to avoid them for as long as possible, Joe, so that he can just start to build the side and get a real feel for them.
It's funny how everything's all roughly gauged towards Celtic. I think there's a lot more teams in the league that deserve the respect to be coming up against it, and I think what John's maybe saying there is, if it comes up against in a cup or anything like that, then it's going to be difficult because I don't think they're ready yet. But yeah. I think they need to get promotion there. And then they engage themselves over the course of a season, and to get that they've got to get out their own league just now. So, but they're playing with confidence, and and if a tie like coming up against Celtic ever came up, then I'm sure all the fans will be up for it.
Yeah, you can give us your thoughts on that very topic. Are Rangers now starting to play the football? If you're a Rangers fan, are they starting to play the football the way you want to see it? Of course, if James Tavernier keeps scoring goals like the one he scored against the Adrionians, Ruffy, then I think the fans will be getting back there in greater numbers. At Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy.
Yep, the boy is playing particularly well, there's no doubt about that. It's a wee while before we've had a fullback who's possibly the top goal scorer instead of the strikers, but he's getting forward, he's scoring terrific goals, terrific free kicks. So unless somebody can come up with a plan, to stop him coming forward, I'm sure he'll score some more goals.
We've not had a free kick specialist in the league probably since Nakamura, maybe. The one that you're talking about, I think...
I'll tell you, Tavernier, I really need to have a quick chat with him to see exactly what the pronunciation is on this. I had him down as a Frenchman, a couple of weeks ago. But
from the Gorbals?
He can hit a free kick. I'm sure we will eventually get there. We can certainly watch him regularly to see if he can keep up the deadly strikes from the free kick. Here's how it looks in League One this weekend. Hopefully you're going to join us. Airdrie Peterhead, Albion Rovers, Brechin City, Ayr United against Forfar, Dunfermline against Stranraer, and Stenhousemuir against Cowdenbeath. I'm not going to say anything about Dunfermline because I think Jim Leishman earlier in the week said I put a jinx on them, Ruffy.
Yeah, you certainly did. To say they would go through the whole season undefeated was a very bold statement. To say it was, but no, they come back again strong. Very good result against Dundee. Yep. Very impressive. So he'll be concentrating on winning the league. There's no doubt about that. Yeah,
and as far as League Two is concerned this weekend, incidentally, we're on at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, bringing you all the scores as they come in. Annan Athletic Montrose, Berwick Rangers against Arbroath, Clyde East Stirling, Elgin City Stirling Albion, Queen's Park against East Fife. That's how it looks in League 2 as well. So there's quite a good few games there to enjoy. And Ruffy will be in the studio with Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny joining us Saturday afternoon. Hopefully you can join us as well. 2 o'clock STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. I mentioned there one other little point. I thought it was a great touch. Rangers have John Gregg back at the club as a member of the Rangers Youth Development Board. Well done.
Yeah, I think that's great. It was terrible circumstances when John left the board. He didn't like the way things were going. He left because of his history with the club, didn't want to be associated with it. It's good that they brought him back on board. I'm sure being a legend that he is, will go into whatever he's going to do at the club and be very successful with it.
Joe, give us your thoughts on who you think will win the Champions League. I know that the Europe's Best Player award was handed out and Lionel Messi got there ahead of Ronaldo again with Suarez in third place. But I look at the groups and I'll tell you, Arsene Wenger must be looking and thinking, no, Dynamo Zagreb, Olympiacos and Bayern Munich.
I know, Bayern Munich's is a team that's done well over the past few seasons, and they'll be there alongside Barcelona and Real Madrid, probably in the semi-final stages again. So it's looking towards those three. It'll be there and the other. So
who's your tip to win it?
I think Barcelona again. I think they're going to be flying again with Suarez and Messi, Neymar scoring goals. They just play so much positive football and manage to get results when it matters.
Yeah, and of course, Ruffy, I think the bonus for Chelsea and Jose Mourinho, it's an emotional return to Porto.
Yeah, there certainly will be. I think of all the teams, I think they probably get the easiest group, looking at the teams that they've got. And as far as European football is concerned, as soon as he gets his European hat on, the way he goes into games, particularly away from home, is just spot on all the time.
Okay, a couple of things to tell you about before we finish. There's a number of legends, including some old Rangers players. Barry Ferguson, old Rangers player, that will kill him, that line. Bob Malcolm's out there, Jerry McCabe, a number of ex-players are playing at a game in View Park against Thornywood United, and it's going to be a great day on Sunday. If you get a chance, get along there. It kicks off at 1 o'clock. Good luck to the guys. Here's a photograph from last night. I said I'd give them a mention. Well done to everyone at Taylor High. We were handing out awards to the school. So many talented kids at that school. It was absolutely magnificent, and they had to put up with me blethering as well, Ruffy. It was unbelievable. Could you give the girls a wave and the guys, all the people?
Well done, everybody. Fantastic.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. And of course, I was talking about the kids and their fashion. No real worries when you see what Ruffy is wearing there. Thanks for joining us. Join us tomorrow at 2.